But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Hello, this is Max. The most dangerous hitman tracks down the thugs who killed his dog and stole his car. Don't forget to subscribe. John Wick, still recovering from his injuries and haunted by memories of his late wife, Helen, stumbles out of the crashed car. He applies pressure to a wound on his stomach, struggling to stay on his feet. In a moment of solace, he takes out his phone and watches a video of happier times with Helen, reminiscing about their moments on the beach. The scene then shifts to several days earlier when John wakes up on a cloudy day. He is flooded with flashbacks of his time with Helen, from their romantic dinners to their passionate kiss, and ultimately the heart-wrenching memory of her fainting in his arms. John is then seen in a hospital room with Helen, who is clearly ill. He lovingly kisses her forehead before the doctor delivers grim news and leaves the room. The narrative jumps forward to the day of Helen's funeral. As mourners depart, John stands alone at her graveside, grief-stricken. Unbeknownst to him, a man observes from a distance. Following the ceremony, John's old friend Marcus approaches him, expressing concern and offering condolences. Marcus acknowledges that it's been a while and inquires about how John is coping with the loss. After a brief conversation, Marcus bids farewell and departs. Back at his home after the funeral, John begins the difficult task of cleaning up when the doorbell rings, signaling the start of a new chapter in his life. John opens the door to find a delivery woman waiting there with a package. She asks him to sign some papers and hands over the package. Inside, John discovers a small beagle puppy. Alongside the puppy is a heartfelt letter from Helen, expressing her acceptance of her impending death and her desire for John to find love and companionship again, beginning with their new furry friend. Reading the letter, John is overcome with emotion, tears welling up in his eyes. He takes the puppy out of its pen and notices the flower-adorned collar it wears, leading him to deduce that Helen had named the dog Daisy. Despite Daisy's reluctance to leave the bed at first, John gently places her on the floor. The following day, Daisy climbs onto the bed and wakes John, forming an immediate bond with him. She follows him throughout the house as he goes about his daily routine. John pours some cornflakes for himself and Daisy, promising to get her proper food later. As they spend more time together, John and Daisy develop a strong connection. They embark on a drive in John's vintage 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1, cruising down the road. Along the way, they encounter three Russian mobsters, including Iosef Tarasov, the son of crime boss Vidyo Tarasov. While stopping for gas, Iosef shows interest in John's car and inquires about its price. John responds that it's not for sale. Iosef insults John in Russian, believing he won't understand, but John surprises him by replying that she's not for sale. Iosef, who was petting Daisy at the time, becomes angry but is restrained by one of his friends, who advises John to have a good day. Later, John takes his car to an abandoned construction area, using it to drift and release his pent-up frustration, narrowly avoiding collisions with trucks as he navigates the treacherous terrain. As John gets ready for bed, he realizes that Daisy needs to relieve herself. He takes her downstairs, where two shadowy individuals suddenly confront him, while a third person grabs a baseball bat and strikes John in the head. Amidst Daisy's whimpers, one of the men begins to brutally beat John. Tragically, one of the assailants also attacks Daisy, snapping her neck. One of the men asks for the car keys, and the other indicates that he's found them. After taking the keys, the man removes his disguise, revealing himself to be Iosef. Iosef insults John and callously wishes him a good night's sleep before knocking him unconscious. When John regains consciousness, he finds himself next to his lifeless pet. He gently strokes Daisy's head before burying her and then proceeds to clean up the aftermath of the violent intrusion, all while memories of his wife and the recent attack torment his thoughts. Iosef drives John's Mustang to Aurelio's auto shop. When Iosef requests new identification and a new license plate for the car, Aurelio instantly recognizes the vehicle and demands to know how Iosef acquired it. Iosef brags about stealing the car from its owner and mentions that he killed the owner's dog. Aurelio refuses to serve Iosef and strikes him in the face. One of Iosef's associates draws a gun, ready to retaliate, but the other intervenes, preventing him from shooting. Iosef insults Aurelio and threatens to take his business elsewhere. Later, John visits the shop to inquire about his car.
I heard you struck my son.
That night, Vidyo calls Aurelio to understand why he struck Iosef. Aurelio explains that it was in response to Iosef stealing John Wick's car and killing his dog. Vigio expresses concern and heads down to his penthouse. One of his henchmen congratulates him, but Vigio insists on meeting with his son. Meanwhile, John descends into his basement with a sledgehammer and starts breaking the floor open, revealing a hidden cache of weapons and gold coins that he had stored away. In an effort to address the growing problem, Vigio arranges a meeting with his son, Iosef, at his home. He begins the meeting by offering Iosef a drink and casually complimenting his jacket. However, this seemingly friendly interaction quickly takes a dark turn when Vigio delivers 2 stern punches to Iosef's stomach, reminding him of the severity of his actions and who he has wronged. Vigio's henchman expresses a desire to leave, but Vigio orders him to stay.
Right, you stay.
Vigio proceeds to educate Iosef about John Wick's past. He reveals that John was once associated with him, known by the ominous nickname Baba Yaga or the boogeyman, as the man you call to kill the boogeyman. Vigio recounts an incident where he witnessed John Wick eliminate 3 men in a bar using just a pencil, emphasizing John's lethal skills and reputation. Vigio explains that when John wanted to retire and marry Helen, Vigio presented him with an impossible task, which involved carrying out multiple high-level assassinations in a short period of time. To Vigio's astonishment, John successfully completed the task, and his efforts played a pivotal role in establishing the Tarasov crime syndicate. Despite Iosef's confidence in handling the situation, Vigio sternly warns him that John Wick will come after him, and there is little he can do to prevent it. After conveying the impending danger, Vigio attempts to call John to potentially resolve the matter, but John promptly hangs up, setting the stage for a deadly confrontation.
What he said. Enough.
That night, Vigio takes drastic action by sending a team of 12 highly skilled hitmen to John's house, with the intention of eliminating him. However, John proves to be more than capable of defending himself and takes down all 12 assailants in a fierce and relentless battle. Shortly afterward, a police officer arrives at John's front door, responding to a noise complaint. John calmly engages with the officer, using his name and explaining that he's merely figuring things out. The officer, seemingly unaware of the carnage behind John, confirms the noise complaint and then bids him farewell, allowing John to avoid any further police interference. John takes measures to clean up the aftermath of the battle and disposes of the bodies. He calls upon an underworld cleanup team, who are experienced in handling such situations and appear to understand that this won't be the last time they assist him. Meanwhile, Vigio approaches John Wick's old friend Marcus and offers him a lucrative $2 million contract to assassinate John. Marcus, familiar with John's formidable skills, accepts the offer. Vigio also instructs his assistant Avi to put out a request for additional assassins to take on the task. John seeks refuge at the New York Continental Hotel, an establishment exclusively catering to the criminal underworld, where no assassinations are allowed on the premises. The hotel's manager and owner, Winston, is another acquaintance of John's. Winston informs John that Iosef is currently at a nightclub called Red Circle, providing John with a lead to pursue in his quest for vengeance. John goes to a nightclub where Joseph and his friends are partying. He encounters an old acquaintance and instructs him to take the day off, which the man appreciates. Inside the luxurious Russian bathhouse connected to the club, Iosef is indulging in champagne in the company of women when John strikes. He eliminates one of Iosef's henchmen and begins firing at the group. Chaos ensues as John methodically takes down every hitman in his path, but Iosef manages to escape in a getaway car. Following the intense confrontation, John returns to the Continental Hotel to have a wound in his side, caused by a stabbing with a bottle during the battle, professionally treated by a doctor. The doctor advises John to avoid excessive physical strain to prevent his sutures from tearing. John brushes off the need for painkillers, claiming that the bourbon he purchased earlier will suffice as a pain reliever. Meanwhile, Marcus positions himself on a rooftop across the street and observes John, who is resting. Marcus senses someone approaching John and fires a warning shot to alert him. It turns out to be Perkins, an assassin hired by Vigio. Perkins opens fire on John, but he manages to evade her attacks. She discloses her agreement with Vigio, offering her a substantial reward to eliminate John, even if it means breaking the hotel's strict no-killing policy. John engages in a physical struggle with Perkins, eventually gaining the upper hand and putting her in a headlock. In exchange for sparing her life, John persuades Perkins to provide him with information. She reveals that Viggo stores a significant portion of his assets in a church basement. After rendering Perkins unconscious, John leaves her in the care of Harry, one of the Continental's personnel, in exchange for one of the secretive organization's gold coins. After her encounter with John, Perkins is handcuffed to a chair by Harry, an employee at the Continental Hotel. Unbeknownst to Harry, Perkins has dislocated her thumb and is able to slip away. She frees herself and, covering Harry's face with a pillow, shoots him. Meanwhile, John locates Viggo's hidden stash of cash and important business documents in a chapel. After eliminating the guards present in the church, he coerces the priest to lead him to the vault. John dismisses the women inside the vault and proceeds to set fire to the entire structure. As Viggo becomes aware of the fire, he is ambushed by a barrage of bullets fired by John's relentless assault. Despite dispatching most of Viggo's henchmen, John is knocked unconscious when two SUVs collide, sending him sprawling to the ground. Viggo captures John and questions the extent of his vengeance over a car and a dog. John reveals that the puppy was a gift from his deceased wife and offers Viggo a choice: deliver Iosef to him or face death alongside his son.
But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Viggo opts to leave John to his henchmen, who attempt to suffocate him with a garbage bag. However, Marcus, watching from an adjacent building, intervenes by shooting one of the hitmen in the head, allowing John to eliminate the other. Only John remains standing as he retrieves his revolver and opens fire on Viggo's escape vehicle. Viggo is compelled to disclose the location of Iosef, who is hidden in a Brooklyn safe house. Despite the safe house being guarded by armed men, John systematically eliminates them all and breaches the property. He destroys all the getaway vehicles using explosives before catching up to Iosef. John first shoots Iosef in the stomach and then delivers a final, fatal shot to the head, avenging his beloved dog and sending a brutal message to his adversaries. Perkins informs Viggo about John's connection with Marcus and the fact that they've been in contact. In retaliation for Iosef's death and the failure to eliminate John, Viggo orders his henchmen to attack Marcus at his house. They beat him mercilessly, and when Viggo and Perkins arrive, they fatally shoot him. As Viggo prepares to leave the house, he calls John to gloat about killing his friend. Viggo heads to a helicopter waiting to transport him out of the city, with a plan for John to arrive at Marcus's house and be ambushed by Perkins. While Perkins waits for John, she is summoned to a meeting with Winston, the owner of the Continental Hotel. Winston informs her that she has violated the hotel's rules, leading to the revocation of her membership. Winston encounters the same cleaner who assisted John in disposing of the bodies of the assassins and gives him a tip. Upon discovering Marcus's lifeless body, John sets out to hunt down Viggo. He spots Viggo and his men en route to the helicopter and attempts to ram his car into them. Viggo orders Avi to eliminate John, but John's car crashes into Avi's. Viggo tries to force John's car off a cliff, but John survives the ordeal.
No more bullets!
The two engage in a brutal hand-to-hand battle in the rain. Viggo attempts to attack John, but John uses the knife lodged in his own stomach for leverage, breaking Viggo's arm. He then retrieves the knife and fatally stabs Viggo in the neck, leaving him to die. The movie concludes with John, still bleeding, being motivated to carry on after watching the video with Helen. He seeks medical treatment for his knife wound and adopts a pit bull puppy, bringing it home with him as a new companion, symbolizing his fresh start. If you are interested in such films, please proceed to the next video on the screen and also share your thoughts about this film in the comments. Give us a like and subscribe. Goodbye.